pieces of soil go by here. So let's just look at it quick. Just pulled a stump out. I think it was a walnut tree. Doesn't really matter. Right over here is our potato block from last year. If you recall from last year, this is the more stony end. The soil wasn't quite as nice, but it was decent. We did really well. And look at the difference. Just 25 feet away, right at the base of the stump. And again, you can see this heavy clay in the middle, underneath. See how it gets into that denser clay right below all this aggregate? And all that aggregate is from plants collecting sunlight, pushing sugars and exudates into the soil, feeding the microbiology extracting nutrients and aggregating that soil. And in all these little nodules are tremendous amounts, billions and billions, trillions and trillions of different types, varieties, and functions of communities of biology. And they work together symbiotically. So I'm tearing this tree out, but we're going to put potatoes in here this year. And look at all this dark humic matter that's built up on top of the soil, where it's been close to the edge of the trees and brush here, and lots of organic material was built up and protected the soil from sunlight and protected that detritus layer on top where the microbes really thrive. Just wanted to point out another excellent opportunity. And also look at the number of fine root hairs on these roots of this tree. It's incredible. Okay, I'm done looking at this vowel assembly next. Hopefully it's just an O-ring or something simple. We'll see. Been listening to music on the machine, so I haven't been enjoying the symphony the whole time I've been working. But it sure is beautiful. Well, I discovered one other issue here on the machine. And the last little while or so, this fender's been swinging out like this. I was like, what is going on? Except to put a new mount bolt on it. And because on the other side, there you go. On the other side, they have 4 separate bolts for top and bottom on both the front and the back. And I just didn't notice that detail. But this just has bolts straight through. And one of these broke. So I gotta get a new one of those, because that's part of what mounts the hoe mount to the axle. And I thought I had heard something clicking around out here. I didn't realize we had an actual issue here. So glad I saw that when I did. Gotta get a I think I'm gonna use 2 bolts on that. And I'll probably do that at both front and back. I think that's the correct way. Okay, and so looking at this in the front, that's really not good. We're kind of barely hanging on by 1 bolt there, so gonna have to do some new bolts. I'm gonna do 4 new bolts all around. Replace that one, get it flat, shimmed back up to the axle, and get it right. Do not want an axle coming off. This machine has so much torque, man, it would just snap and twist anything. So walking along doing some stakeout, basic layout for fencing to make sure I have everything cleared to width. I stumbled across the other part of that bolt off the Massey Ferguson. Yep, she snapped off good. So now we got bolt size, easy replacement. I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but I'll try to zoom to it. There's a flag right there, and a spike. There's one down there. With a spike. And then down on the other end, there's 2 the same. I thought I was going to only have room for 75 feet based on some inaccurate aerial imagery. but have room for 95 foot of width. So that makes us almost 100 by 300, 30,000 square feet. Yeehaw! I got a little bit more trimming and clearing to do on the edge out here to make room and width for the road edge to go through next to the fence line on the outside of the fence. But that's exciting news. That's a huge block. Now I gotta go check and see if the landowner cares if I expand the fence area this year. Well, still looking cloudy to the west there. No rain since early this morning, late last night, early this morning. And sunny on and off today. Kind of weird, cloudy, moody sort of weather, but warm, 70 degrees, beautiful weather. So nice to get a few hours up on the farm, get some work done. Caught the problem with the Massey Ferguson. I'll get some bolts on the way. And, April 1st, 2025. Beautiful sunny day out, but windy and kind of cold. We hit a high of 50 today, but man, it sure doesn't feel it. We've had 7 to 10 mile an hour winds most of the day. But I did notice as I came out here to have a cigarette and the sun hit these and they lit up. This is coltsfoot flowers. And later in the season, I'll show you these become a big broad leaf. And it's another wild, excellent medicinal herb used for all sorts of things. And in fact, it was used in herbal smoking mixes back in the day. I just gotta say, nice having a piece of equipment that comes with its own jacks. There we go. Isn't that handy? Well, they do say it's a long way to the top if you want to unbolt. Or was it rock and roll? Got the fender off now. So I can put new bolts on it. But before I do that, I got to put the other bolt in on the front. Got the one in on the back. Snugged up nice. We'll retighten that after we get this other bolt in, tighten it up, shimmy the hoe around a bit, and then tighten up again just to make sure we're locked in solid. And then I'll put the fender back on. And I might need to get smaller headed bolts for the fender. There's not a lot of clearance for the bolt head to go against there. And I don't think my big washers are going to fit on the fender part. But I think it's going to be okay because they really built this fender out of 1/4 inch cast or plate steel. It's solid, so no worries, mate. We'll just get some good lock washers on it. We'll be okay. Good. That's the two hoe frame to axle bolts on, nice and tight. These are grade 8 steel. Bolts, nuts, lock nuts, all of it is grade 8. Should hold up nicely, we hope. Probably will give this another torque down after I move the machine around a little bit. And then I got to put the fender back on. Let's see if I can get that to go on tonight, but it proves to be too much of a hassle. There's not a lot of light left, and I can deal with it tomorrow. My big concern was not having that thing hanging by one bolt like that. And I do something stupid like forget about it and go out and use it and get injured. This hoe on this machine weighs around 3 tons. So it's a very heavy piece of equipment. And yeah, it would really hurt you if it came off wrong and landed on you or took you over. So always about safety here. And while we're on that, I found some more things that are loose. So we'll be tightening those up too before we find 2. Seems like just 2, but we'll be tightening those up before we put things back together as well. Yeah. Okay, so the bolts I have are just a little too long for the fenders to get the nut on the bottom, and I don't want that much nut sticking up against this support bar. So I'm going to pick up some 2-inch bolts. These are 3-inch bolts for the fender, but we at least have the hoe mounted back on securely, and I'll put the fender back on. I torqued down these couple ones that were loose that I could get to move on these tire nuts or rim nuts. And I know that looks loose, but those threads will not move anymore. So that's all I was really worried about, is to want it to come off. What else? I guess that's a royal pain in the butt to get to, especially on this side where you got this whole piece is a box channel. So you got to get a socket with an extension up in there, and then you can see it's off at a bit of an angle, in part because of that washer. But I think I'd rather have the extra washer shoulder purchase on there and grab more of the ear. Okay, that's it for now. More to do. Bolts to pick up. Doing very well. Got 2 of the 4 bolts in on the Massey Ferguson. 2 are too long for the fender, so I'll pick up some shorter ones tomorrow. But that went well. Work went well. I'm well. So I just thought I'd give a close-up of the one stump that I pulled yesterday. That's my hand. So that's how big that thing actually is. Probably all of 5 feet across of the dirt ball there, and 3 feet thick in the middle. Quite the heavy root, and it took quite a bit of prying to get it out. And that's how I broke that pivot pin on the backhoe bucket. I'll throw a couple of pics of that up here. While I'm thinking of it here in the truck, I'll just give you a quick clip of the pin that broke. I don't think that channel actually needs to be in it. But yeah, pretty heavy piece of steel. That's how much force I was able to put out. Enough to literally break that pin. And I did that doing those stumps. I was basically almost picking the whole machine up with the bucket curl. A little too much force. Probably should have cut around the roots a bit with the bucket rather than go for brute strength. But, you know, good lesson learned. So on my channel, I always try to remind people they're always trying to study and mimic nature in our farming practices. And boy, when you know, here's a great example. This is wild native Virginia white-tailed deer population. Oops. All over. Everywhere. All over. Like everywhere. Up here on this cedar ridge that overlooks where I've been clearing. You can kind of just see the clearing out through there. But so we have so much local residual resident nutrition. This is the high point here on the hill. So every time it rains and the biology and nutrients from that organic material break down, they're gently and slowly working their way down the hill toward our growing area. So there's another free contributor from nature here. And that'll make the fence nice because we can keep the deer from stealing the food and still take advantage of having their presence nearby as a herd. So I've just come straight down the ridge from there. Lots of poop everywhere, of course. And now look at how rich and dark the soils in this valley are. And especially here where we grew last year. Remember, I said we can build tremendous soil nutrition and carbon very rapidly by using plants as part of the system in conjunction with foliar feeds. So, prying out some of those bigger cedar roots, I got a little too aggressive. And apparently I broke the pin here on the bucket curl on the hoe. I got some pictures, or maybe I'll grab a video clip of it. So I tried to catch Williams Lumber. They were just closing as I got there. They probably would not have had what I needed anyway. So I did a search on Tractor Supply, didn't find anything to my liking. So I'm gonna get hold of a company that sells excavator equipment and parts tomorrow and see where we're at. Didn't find anything on Amazon that fit the size I needed either, so. Yes, beautiful Hudson Valley. So
busy. Got most of this property line rough cleaned up. Some rough grading. Got some more grading to do. But it's coming along nice. And we'll go up top and take a look at the machine here. So I tried to get a video clip of this the other day, but the Google phone went slow-mo on me and muted my audio and all. So bolts are on, nice and solid. I worked the machine yesterday for a couple hours after my regular work, and it held together nice and tight. And I broke the pin here on the hoe bucket, and I actually picked up a hitch, 1.25" hitch pin from Tractor Supply, because I could not find an actual proper pin for this. I'm going to do some more digging around over the weekend and we'll find the right part for it. This is grade 5 steel. I suspect these are supposed to be probably grade 8, just because of the incredible amount of force that they're under. So I got a new one, I put it in, and it's got like a clevis pin that goes through, but I knocked the pin out, taking trees down, so I'm probably going to get a bolt or something that'll stay in there a little better. And I'll have to slide that back through before I use the machine again. But yeah, so that's fixed for now, at least enough for the machine to be functional and usable. The other thing I did the other day that I also got lost off the camera was I tightened up this return line on the hydraulic fitting. Apparently that was leaking a little bit, and there was a little bit of a puddle underneath this. So tighten that up. That seems to have fixed that leak issue. And we're on to the next fix repair issue. I think that's going to be this valve that's leaking here. This one here. It's leaking a little bit when you actuate the valve. I suspect it's an O-ring or an anti-cavitation poppet or something like that. So I gotta dig into that at some point. I'm not going to do that in the pouring rain, which it's supposed to do all weekend. As far as clearing, continued on. I got a little bit more done in the front out there. Got the rest of that line cleared up to next to the trailer. That looks a lot nicer. Some grading and final cleanup to do down there. And I'm working my way along this eastern line here. Got some more trees out of here yesterday before it got dark. Glad for that. And got some more of these stumps out. I got to get the rest of these out and get this cleared back right to the toe of slope there, so we have room for the new fence area. But things are coming well, making good progress, even through stumbles and pitfalls of the equipment breaking and such. So poured all day yesterday, and I was supposed to go do something with Marty, and we got rained out on that, and looked at the radar last night late, and it looked like it was going to rain all day today. But by early afternoon, it had cleared out, and I knew it was going to be muddy, but I want to get some stuff done, so I came up and got some more clearing on this line. We're almost back cleared out to the edge of the toe of slope here, which will open us up for that 100-foot by 300-foot fencing area. And I got some, grading and a few more stumps to pull and some rough work to do still, but we're almost there. And it's nice to have this cleared out. And I suppose we should have a look at the soil here, because always talking about soil here. Notice how dark this is here, this streak, where all those bushes and tall, thick, brushy, scrubby trees were. And then look here, this is that shale rock ledge that goes up, and you can see where all the moss and deer poop and roots covering and all have really really darken the soil up. Look how black that stuff is. And that, you know, that blondish colored clay right next to it deeper down, you know, that's from pulling tree stumps down. So you're down, you know, 2.5, 3 feet in the ground, you're hitting that. But above that is all this beautiful dark stuff. Anyway, just thought I'd point it out while we're looking at soils that we're going to be growing food in. It's going to be a beautiful farming site. So I picked up some EMT, 2-inch EMT, electrical metal tubing. Got a great deal on this on Facebook Marketplace, actually. So while the Massey Ferguson warms up, we'll have a look at clearing progress here. I've been busy. I've been real busy. I think I got all the stumps out in here that needed to come out. Right on up the line here. Got some holes to fill back in. And these have had a couple days to dry off, so they should shake off most of the soil off them. I'll drag those out today. And we'll grade this back in, stitch this back in. I probably will pop an opening up into the other lot from here while we don't have a fence in the way to worry about damaging. We'll just pop a couple of these trees and make an opening so we can get through with the machine without such a steep grade like on the northern end. I'll just give you a shot of the wide shot here. You can see the neighbors have posted up their property line. We got all this other bunch of little trees and stuff that was in the way on this, encroaching on the edge of where the fence line is going to run. Got those all out of the way. Might yank those 2 or 3 there. Get those branches out of the edge. Cleared everything else back. And these 2 big cedars, I was thinking about just dropping these with a chainsaw rather than trying to dig them out because they're quite large. But I really didn't want to take them out. So I did some rough pruning with a backhoe. And I'll come back later in the season and saw off a little cleaner. But that gave us the width we want without having to take these 2 beautiful trees down, because they are beautiful cedars. And I like the way they just kind of hug into the toe of the slope here. So I'll probably take this cluster up here out just to open up the end. And our other fence corner point for the final fence is here. And we're going to split this 300-foot long section in half and fence the first half, the southern half, first. And then later on in the season, when I can budget more fencing materials and time, I'll fence the second half. Or maybe even next fall or over the winter. If we don't. That rain line is finally moving in. I got a few hours in. And got rough grading in here. Cleared out most of the crop. Got most of the bigger holes filled in. Got to stitch up into the slope a little bit, but I got a grade here between that orange flag right there. Actually, the rock with the flag in front of it to the left of the hair. That's close enough. A clean grade line all the way to the stone with the flag there. But that's 300-foot line. And we're gonna fence probably half of that, unless I can get the dough together for another set of posts, another 50. But either way, we're getting there. Got some more grading to do up top to clean that up and make it a nice even grade, but it's rough graded. And I did some work down on the other end here. I'll show you. Again, just some rough final grading. We're not really quite there yet, but getting closer, filling in the holes, taking out the humps, blending the curves, stitch it all together into a nice clean run. I got some trimming to do with the chainsaw. And we got a pile to get rid of, to burn, and then we should be good to go for fencing. Hopefully by then I can have the rest of the materials together and we can plug it in and go. Nice look down that grade here so you can see from this stone here. Down there.
April 11th. I should have got a shot earlier, but we got about 1.5 inches of snow and heavy rain. The snow will melt off, but it's pouring out there. It was a little while ago. Quite the weird April.